The galaxy had long mocked Earth, laughing at its primitive technologies and its people. For centuries, alien empires watched from their high ivory towers, believing they had nothing to fear from a small, fragile planet like Earth. They were confident that humanity's advancements were nowhere near enough to rival their own vast, powerful civilizations. They laughed at the idea of Earth ever standing a chance in the cosmic struggle for dominance. Yet this misplaced arrogance would soon come to haunt them. In the high chambers of the Galactic Council, the leaders of the most powerful alien races gathered to discuss the Earth problem. They had received reports of human activity, of their growing population, and their attempts at space exploration. The council leaders exchanged amused glances as the data was presented. These humans believe they can challenge us. A sleek reptilian alien leader scoffed, its eyes narrowing with disdain. Their technology is nothing. Their ships, primitive at best. They couldn't even conquer their own planet without our help. One of the council members, a towering insectoid alien, chimed in. We've let them grow for far too long. Their time of peace is over. It's time to remind them who rules this galaxy. The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement as the leaders discussed their plans. They would send a fleet to Earth, not to invade, but to show humanity just how far they still had to go. They would deliver a message, a warning. Earth would bow or it would be crushed. But Earth, in its quiet corner of the galaxy, had long since stopped being the weak, vulnerable planet the aliens believed it to be. No one had paid attention to the slow, deliberate preparations that had been made over the past few decades. In a hidden facility on Earth, deep beneath the surface, humanity had been working on something powerful, something the aliens would never have imagined. The first sign of something wrong came when the Galactic fleet arrived in Earth's orbit. The ships, massive and sleek, hung like menacing shadows against the blue sky. At first, the humans watched in stunned silence, unsure of the true purpose of the alien arrival. They knew the stories. Humans had never fought a real war with these aliens. But this wasn't a war they were prepared for. Or so they thought. Inside the control rooms of Earth's highest military command, a group of generals and strategists scrambled to respond. What do we do? One officer asked, his voice shaking. The fleet is too powerful. We don't have anything that can stop them. General Maria Velasquez, a seasoned leader who had witnessed the rise of Earth's secret weapon, stood calmly at the center of the room. Prepare the Terran fleet. Activate the new warships. We've been ready for this day for a long time. The generals exchanged nervous glances. Are you sure, General? The Terran fleet is still untested in actual combat. Maria nodded, her expression hardening. The time for waiting is over. It's time for humanity to show its true strength. As the human fleet powered up, the Galactic Council's ships moved into position. The Council had no idea that the Earth they had mocked for so long had secretly surpassed them in technological advancement. The human warships, hidden deep within the Earth's oceans and beneath mountains, were now ready to strike back. The moment of truth arrived as the human fleet emerged from the shadows. The alien ships, expecting a quick surrender, were caught off guard by the sheer firepower humanity had secretly developed. The Terran warships were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, sleek, agile, and equipped with weapons that could tear apart their fleets in a matter of seconds. The humans fired first, catching the alien ships completely unprepared. What in the stars is happening? One of the alien commanders screamed as the shields of their flagship shattered under the barrage of Terran fire. The alien fleet scrambled to retaliate, but it was too late. The Terran ships, far faster and more precise, struck with deadly force. The alien ships exploded one by one, their commanders helpless in the face of humanity's hidden might. The Galactic fleet, which had once laughed at Earth, now found itself in a desperate fight for survival. In the midst of the chaos, the lead alien commander, a tall, armored being known as Zorath, realized the truth. Earth was not weak, and it had never been. The galaxy had underestimated them for far too long. He sent a distress signal to the Galactic Council, but it was clear. Their time had passed. Earth was no longer the helpless planet they had thought it was. The humans had been quietly preparing for this day, and now they had the galaxy's attention. We've made a terrible mistake, Zorath muttered, watching as his fleet was reduced to space debris. We underestimated Earth, and now we are paying the price. Back on Earth, the news was broadcast to every corner of the planet. People stared at their screens, disbelief and awe spreading across the globe. They had always been told that they were powerless, that they were nothing compared to the mighty empires of the galaxy. But now, humanity had shown the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The laughter had stopped, replaced by shock and fear. General Velasquez stood before her soldiers, her expression a mix of determination and pride. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice strong. "We've shown the galaxy what happens when they underestimate us. But there's more to come. Earth will no longer be the laughing stock of the galaxy. We are not weak, and we will never be overlooked again. The galaxy, once so certain of its superiority, would never forget the lesson it had learned that day. Earth, once considered a joke, had risen to become the most feared force in the galaxy. And from that moment on, humanity's place in the universe was secured, not as a weakling, but as a dominant power ready to shape its own destiny. The laughter of the galaxy was over. Now it was time to remember why Earth had always been feared. The Galactic Council was in disarray. Alien leaders, once full of arrogance, now found themselves scrambling to respond to the disaster that had unfolded. Their fleets, which had seemed invincible just hours ago, were nothing more than burning wreckage. The vast, powerful ships they had sent to Earth had been torn apart by the Terran warships with ruthless efficiency. The shockwaves of their defeat rippled across the galaxy, and a sense of panic began to spread. In the heart of the Galactic Council, a tall, imposing figure slammed his fist onto the command table. Zorath, the commander of the defeated fleet, stood before the council, his face twisted in fury. "This is a disaster," he growled. "We have underestimated Earth in every possible way. The Terran fleet is unlike anything we've ever seen. We must respond, or we will lose everything." The other council members, alien beings of various shapes and sizes, exchanged uneasy glances. Their once unshakable confidence had been shattered. A reptilian leader, Zythor, spoke up in a voice full of anger and disbelief. "How did this happen? How did we not know about this? Earth is supposed to be weak, nothing more than a backwater planet. This is impossible." Zorath's eyes narrowed. "It's not impossible. It's a failure on our part. We thought we had control, that we had them contained. But we were wrong." He paused, the weight of the loss pressing down on him. "Now we need to take drastic measures. We must retaliate. We can't allow Earth to think it can continue to challenge us." The council fell into a heavy silence as the leaders considered their next move. The once certain path to victory was now a shattered mess. Earth had proven itself far stronger, far more prepared than anyone had anticipated. And now the council had to figure out how to salvage their pride and their power. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was different. There was a sense of uneasy calm. People had watched in awe as humanity's warships had crushed the alien fleets. But now there were questions. What came next? What would happen when the aliens regrouped and retaliated? General Velasquez knew that the victory was only the beginning. The real challenge was coming, and they needed to be ready. Inside the war room of Earth's military headquarters, Velasquez stood over a large holographic map of the galaxy. The glowing blue projections highlighted the paths the alien fleets might take in their retaliation. The generals around her were tense, eyes focused on the map as they discussed their strategy. "We can't relax," Velasquez said firmly, breaking the silence. "The aliens won't just accept defeat. They'll regroup, they'll come back stronger. And when they do, we need to be ready." One of the generals, a young officer named Caden, spoke up, his voice uncertain. "But General, we've barely scratched the surface of what they can do. They'll bring more ships, more firepower. Are we really prepared for that?" Maria turned to him, her expression hardening. "We've spent years preparing for this moment, Caden. We've already made the first move, and now we need to finish what we started." Caden nodded, though doubt still lingered in his eyes. Earth had struck first, But the alien retaliation was something no one could fully predict. The Terran fleet was powerful, but it wasn't invincible. Still, they had a chance, maybe their only chance, to prove that they would not be the galaxy's punching bag anymore. As the meeting continued, the news came in. The Galactic Council had begun to assemble an even larger fleet. They were preparing to launch a massive counteroffensive, and Earth was their target. The fight wasn't over, it had only just begun. Hours later, in the blackness of space, the first wave of the alien fleet arrived. Their ships, enormous and powerful, emerged from hyperspace, their engines burning bright against the void. They were different now, bigger, more heavily armed, and angrier than before. This time they were determined to finish what they had started, but Earth was ready. The human fleet had grown stronger since their first victory. New ships had been constructed, new weapons developed, and new tactics formulated. General Velasquez stood at the helm of the command ship, watching as the alien ships drew closer. This time, they wouldn't be caught off guard. As the alien ships began to charge, Velasquez's voice cut through the chaos. "Prepare for battle. Activate all weapons. We fight to win." The first volley of laser fire erupted from the Terran ships, a brilliant flash of light that illuminated the darkness of space. The alien ships retaliated, their weapons firing in a desperate attempt to break the human defenses. The battle was fierce, the outcome uncertain. But as the human warships struck back with precision and strength, it became clear that the aliens had not learned their lesson. One by one, the alien ships were torn apart by the devastating firepower of the Terran fleet. The battle was a brutal exchange, but humanity's tactics, honed over years of secret preparation, were proving too much for the invaders. The alien fleet was crumbling, their leaders screaming orders that went unheard in the face of Earth's fury. Zorath watched from the command center of his flagship as his ships fell, one by one. "No, this can't be happening," he muttered to himself, his eyes wide with disbelief. "How can they be this strong? How are they doing this?" It was then that he understood. Earth had never been the weak, helpless planet they had thought it was. Earth had been holding back, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now that moment had come. On Earth, the battle raged on, but it was clear that victory was within reach. Humanity had proven its strength, its resilience, and its readiness to stand against the galaxy's mightiest forces. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, now found themselves on the brink of defeat. And as the last of the alien ships were destroyed, Zorath sent out a final desperate message to the Galactic Council. "We have failed. Earth is not to be underestimated. They are no longer the joke of the galaxy. They are the future." The galaxy had laughed at Earth for millennia, but now the laughter had died. The aliens had learned the hard way that Earth was not just another planet to be conquered. It was a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would never forget the lesson it had learned. The vast emptiness of space was shattered by the hum of human warships as they patrolled their newly expanded territories. General Maria Velasquez stood at the command center, staring out into the infinite void. The alien forces had been defeated, but she knew the victory was far from secure. The Galactic Council had not yet given up on its pursuit of Earth's annihilation. Velasquez's fingers tapped nervously on the table as she reviewed the latest intelligence reports. "They're coming again," she muttered under her breath. The alien fleets had retreated into the farthest corners of the galaxy, but they had not forgotten the lesson Earth had taught them. They were regrouping, stronger, angrier, and more determined than ever. Maria knew the next wave would be their most dangerous yet. "I don't understand, General," said Lieutenant Caden, standing beside her. "We destroyed their fleets. They're scattered, broken. Why are they coming back?" Maria's gaze hardened. "Because they think they can still crush us. They believe Earth is weak, but they've forgotten who we are and what we've been through. They've forgotten the lesson we taught them." Caden nodded, his expression serious. "What's the plan, then?" "We wait," Maria said. "We let them come. But this time we'll hit them hard. We've been preparing for this, and we'll make sure they never forget why they feared us in the first place." Meanwhile, in the deepest recesses of space, the Galactic Council was gathering once again. The leaders of the alien races met in their council chambers, their faces grim. Zorath, the alien commander who had led the first wave of invasion, stood before them, the weight of his failure evident in his eyes. The council was silent, each leader aware of the failure that had cost them dearly. How did it come to this? Zyther, the reptilian leader, hissed. How did we underestimate them so completely? Zorath's voice was cold. We thought their power was just a myth. We believed they were nothing more than a primitive, backward planet. We were wrong. The council's silence deepened. Finally, a voice spoke from the shadows. The time for regret is over. Earth must be destroyed, once and for all. Zorath turned his gaze toward the speaker, a towering insectoid leader known only as Threx. How do you suggest we do that? We've tried to crush them once, and they turned the tables on us. They're more powerful than we thought. Threx's eyes glowed with a cruel light. We'll use their own strength against them. We will unleash the ultimate weapon. The council leaders murmured among themselves, intrigued. Zorath's face twisted in disbelief. The ultimate weapon? He asked. Are you sure that's the right course? What if it fails again? It won't fail, Threx insisted. This weapon will tear through their defenses. They won't be able to stop it. The council agreed unanimously. Earth would face a weapon unlike anything they had encountered before. It would be the galaxy's final strike against humanity. Back on Earth, the human fleet remained vigilant. Every officer knew the aliens would return, and they had no intention of being caught off guard again. The warships, having undergone extensive upgrades since their last battle, were ready for the challenge. New weapons had been developed, and human intelligence had discovered ways to counter the alien technology. Earth had learned from every defeat and every victory, and they had become stronger for it. As the hours passed, an eerie calm settled over the command room. Then, without warning, an alarm blared through the facility. A fleet had entered Earth's orbit, a much larger one than before. It's them, Maria said quietly, her fingers flying across the console. The holographic map in front of her flickered as the alien fleet's position was marked. Caden looked at her, a sense of dread settling in. This is it, isn't it? The final battle. Maria's eyes hardened. Yes, and this time we finish it. The alien ships loomed large in the sky, their weapons glowing ominously. The fleet was massive, their ships unlike anything Earth had ever seen. But Maria's expression didn't change. She knew this was their moment, the last stand. If they could survive this, Earth would finally prove it was more than just a speck in the vastness of the galaxy. Activate all systems, she commanded. Prepare for battle. The human warships shifted into battle formation, their sleek bodies slicing through space like knives. They moved quickly, silently as their weapons powered up. The alien fleet was closing in, and the tension was palpable. Every crew member knew what was at stake, but the aliens had a surprise in store. As the battle began, Maria's eyes widened in shock as an unfamiliar energy signature flared from the enemy's flagship. "What is that?" she whispered. "It's a new weapon," Caden said, his voice shaking. "They're using something we've never seen before." The alien flagship fired, and the energy beam that shot out was unlike anything the humans had encountered. It cut through space with terrifying precision, tearing apart the lid human ships as though they were paper. Explosions filled the void as Earth's fleet struggled to react. The aliens, sensing victory, pushed forward, believing they had broken through. But Maria was not one to give up so easily. "Focus fire on their flagship," she ordered. "Do not let them break our line." The Terran ships retaliated, their weapons firing in synchronized bursts. But despite their efforts, the new alien weapon was powerful, too powerful. One by one, Earth's ships were taken down. Then, just as it seemed the battle was lost, a new voice echoed through the command room. "General Velasquez, we've got something big coming in from the far side of the fleet." Maria's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" The officer hesitated, staring at his screen. "It's a new ship. It's ours. The last-ditch effort had arrived. Humanity's secret weapon, the one they had been building in the shadows for years, had just entered the fray." The ship, sleek and menacing, cut through space like a predator hunting its prey. As it moved into position, it fired once, and the alien flagship exploded in a blaze of fire and debris. The aliens froze, stunned by the unexpected counterattack. The human fleet, now energized by the arrival of their secret weapon, began to turn the tide. Ship after ship was destroyed, and the alien forces began to retreat. Maria's voice crackled through the comms. "Victory is ours. We've shown them what happens when you underestimate Earth." The remaining alien ships fled into the darkness, and for the first time in millennia, Earth stood unchallenged. The galaxy had learned its lesson. No longer would Earth be the target of mockery and scorn. It had become a force to be reckoned with. The age of human dominance had begun. The aftermath of the latest battle left the galaxy in a stunned silence. Earth had once again proven itself a force to be reckoned with, its secret weapon now the talk of the galaxy. The aliens, still reeling from their crushing defeat, retreated into the farthest reaches of space. But General Maria Velasquez knew better than to think the war was over. The Galactic Council had not given up. Earth had made enemies, and they wouldn't forget the humiliating losses so easily. Maria stood at the head of the command center, watching the holographic display of the galaxy's star systems. The Terran fleet had taken the lead in their sector, but deep down, she felt a tightening in her chest. The aliens were planning something big, something that could end everything they had worked for. They wouldn't just come back with more ships. They would come back with a vengeance. "We need to prepare for the worst," Maria said, her voice calm but firm. "They'll come back with everything they've got. We need to make sure we're ready for whatever they throw at us." Lieutenant Caden, who had grown to trust Maria's instincts, stood beside her, looking at the same holographic map. "General, what if they don't come back? What if we've broken their will to fight?" Maria shook her head. "I don't trust them. The Galactic Council won't forget, and they won't stop until they've destroyed everything we've built. We've got to stay vigilant." Her words hung heavy in the air, and Caden's unease grew. He had never seen Maria like this before. Her calm exterior now masked a deep uncertainty. It was clear she was preparing for something terrible. Meanwhile, deep within the heart of the Galactic Council, the alien leaders convened once more. Zorath, still carrying the shame of his defeat, stood at the front of the chamber. His normally confident demeanor was gone, replaced by a fierce determination. He would not let Earth's victory stand. "The humans think they've won," Zorath growled. "They believe they've defeated us, but we know better. We've only scratched the surface of what we're capable of." The council leaders, their alien faces twisted with anger, nodded in agreement. The defeat had left them humiliated, but they had learned valuable lessons. Earth was powerful, but it was not invincible. If they couldn't defeat it with sheer force, they would have to do it through cunning. "We've kept a weapon hidden for generations," Zorath continued. "A weapon so deadly it will shatter Earth's defenses. The humans will regret ever thinking they could challenge us." Threx, the insectoid leader, spoke up. "We must move quickly. We can't give them time to regroup." Zorath smiled. "Leave no survivors." Back on Earth, Maria stood on the bridge of the command ship, staring at the stars. She could feel the tension in the air, the weight of an inevitable confrontation looming over them. She had been a soldier all her life, but this felt different. The aliens weren't just fighting for control anymore. They were fighting for revenge. The comms officer interrupted her thoughts. "General Velasquez, we've received an encrypted message. It's from the Galactic Council." Maria's heart skipped a beat. The Council had never sent any direct communication. They had only ever made their moves through attacks. "Patch it through," she said. The hologram flickered to life, revealing the face of Zorath. His expression was cold, his words clipped. "General Velasquez, your victory has been noted. But understand this. Earth will pay the price for its insolence. We will not let you defy us." Before Maria could respond, the transmission cut off, leaving nothing but silence. She turned to Caden, who was watching her with wide eyes. "What did he mean by that?" Caden asked, his voice trembling. Maria's gaze hardened. "Whatever they're planning, it's not going to be easy. We've got to be ready. Hours passed in tense preparation. The Terran fleet was on high alert, every officer and soldier preparing for the worst. But it wasn't until the next morning that the real threat emerged. Out of nowhere, a new fleet appeared in Earth's orbit. But this wasn't like any fleet the humans had seen before. These ships were different, darker, sleeker, and faster. Their energy signatures were unlike anything detected before, and the crew immediately knew they were dealing with something new, something terrifying. "What is that?" Caden whispered, staring at the alien ships that now surrounded Earth's defenses. Maria's hand clenched into a fist. "It's the weapon," she muttered. "They've unleashed it." Without warning, the alien fleet launched a massive barrage of energy blasts. The force was unlike anything Earth had ever encountered. Each blast seemed to tear apart space itself, rending ships into shreds. The Terran fleet responded immediately, but the power of the alien weapon was overwhelming. "We can't fight this," Caden shouted, his voice full of panic. "We're outmatched." But Maria didn't panic. She was a soldier, and soldiers didn't give up. "Stay focused. We'll find a way. Earth doesn't give up. Not now. Not ever." The battle raged on, and the human ships, though valiant in their efforts, couldn't withstand the sheer power of the alien fleet. One by one, Earth's warships were destroyed, their crews lost in the fiery explosions. Just when it seemed like all was lost, a new signal appeared on the monitors. A ship, unlike any other, emerged from the shadows. Its design was sleek and powerful, its weapons more advanced than anything Earth had used before. It was the culmination of everything humanity had learned, the ultimate counter-weapon. "It's here," Maria said, her voice steady with determination. "Let's finish this." The new ship moved into position, its weapons powered up and ready. The alien fleet, still reeling from the destruction of Earth's fleet, had not expected this new force. In a single coordinated strike, the new ship unleashed its firepower, tearing through the alien ships with ruthless precision. The weapon that had once seemed invincible was now no match for Earth's latest creation. The alien fleet faltered. For the first time, they realized that they had underestimated humanity once again. Maria stood tall, watching as the last of the alien ships disintegrated in space. "We did it," she whispered, a sense of triumph flooding her heart. "Earth has shown them what we're made of." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth was no longer a planet to be underestimated. It was a force, a power, and its place in the universe was secured, not as a victim, but as a true contender on the galactic stage. The aftermath of the battle had left Earth in a strange silence. The alien fleet, once thought unbeatable, had been shattered. General Maria Velasquez stood at the command center, watching as the remnants of the alien ships drifted in the dark vacuum of space. The battle had been hard fought, but humanity had emerged victorious once again. Still, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that the war wasn't over. The aliens had been pushed back, but they were not defeated. "Not truly. We can't let our guard down," Maria said quietly, turning to her officers. Her voice was firm, but there was an edge of concern. "The Galactic Council will come again. They won't stop until they've wiped us out." Lieutenant Caden stood nearby, his eyes still wide with disbelief. "But General, how can they possibly fight back now? We've destroyed their most powerful ships. They've lost too many fleets to recover." Maria shook her head, her expression hardening. "It's not over, trust me. They'll find a way. They always do." Suddenly an officer burst into the room, her face pale. "General Velasquez, we've just received a transmission. It's from Zorath." Maria's eyes narrowed at the mention of the alien commander's name. Zorath had been the one to lead the failed invasion of Earth, and now he was calling them. The thought made her uneasy. "Put it through," she ordered. The holographic screen flickered to life, and Zorath's face appeared, his expression grim. His once proud posture was now slumped, as if the weight of his failure had taken its toll. "General Velasquez," he began, his voice low and strained. "We've learned our lesson. Earth is not the weak, helpless planet we once believed it to be. You've defeated us, and we acknowledge that." Maria's heart skipped a beat. She had expected anger, threats, not this. "What are you saying, Zorath?" she asked, her voice cautious. I'm saying we are willing to make peace, Zorath replied, his tone surprisingly sincere. The Galactic Council has agreed to an armistice. We have no desire to continue this war. You've proven your strength and we respect that. Maria's mind raced. Could this really be true? After everything that had happened, could they actually be offering peace? Or was this just another trap? And what do you want in exchange for this peace? She asked, her suspicion clear. Zorath hesitated before speaking. We want Earth's cooperation. The Council believes your species has the potential to contribute to the galaxy in ways we never imagined. We are offering you a seat at the galactic table, an alliance, if you will. You'll be part of the greater galactic order. But you must agree to cease all hostilities. Maria stood in stunned silence, processing his words. Peace. An alliance. It was almost too good to be true, but in the back of her mind, doubt lingered. She knew the Council's kind. No one ever truly made peace out of kindness. There had to be an agenda. I'll need time to discuss this with the Council, Maria said, her voice steady, though her mind was racing. We will respond shortly. The transmission ended, and Maria turned to her officers, her face unreadable. What do you think? Hayden asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. I think we need to tread carefully, Maria replied. The last thing we need is to let our guard down, especially now. We'll consider the offer, but we'll be ready for anything. I'll meet with the Earth leadership to discuss this. Days passed, and Earth's leaders convened to discuss Zorath's offer. Tensions ran high as the debate raged on. Some believed that this was a genuine attempt at peace, a chance to end the war and build a new future. Others, like General Velasquez, remained skeptical. The Galactic Council had always been ruthless, and they were not likely to change overnight. Maria spoke at the meeting, her voice firm. We cannot ignore this offer, but we must be cautious. The Council is not in the habit of making concessions. They've been humiliated, and they won't forget that. We need to be prepared for the worst. One of the leaders, President Carter, stood and addressed the room. I agree with General Velasquez. We must be open to peace, but we must also remain vigilant. Earth has already paid too high a price in this war. It's time to turn the page, but not at the cost of our sovereignty. The room fell into a tense silence. After a long discussion, the decision was made. Earth would engage in peace talks with the Galactic Council, but with conditions. Earth would not surrender its independence. The talks would proceed, but the military would remain on alert. The day of the peace talks arrived, and Maria found herself seated at the table with Zorath and several other alien representatives. The atmosphere was thick with tension as both sides waited for the other to make a move. Zorath spoke first. General Velasquez, we are here today to put an end to this conflict. The Galactic Council wishes to extend an olive branch. Our offer is sincere. Earth's future in the galaxy can be bright, but only if we work together. Maria kept her expression neutral. We're listening. But understand this. Earth will not be a pawn in your game. We will agree to peace, but only if our terms are met. The talks continued for hours, with both sides negotiating fiercely. At one point, it seemed like an agreement might be within reach. But just as the final details were about to be settled, the room was shaken by an explosion. Alarms blared as the building rocked with the force of the blast. Ambush! Someone screamed. Maria's heart raced as she grabbed her weapon. Get to the secure room now! The doors burst open and alien soldiers poured into the room. The peace talks had been a trap. The Galactic Council had no intention of honoring their agreement. This was their last strike against Earth, and they were going to make sure humanity paid for its defiance. Maria and her team fought back with everything they had, but it was clear that they were outnumbered. Just as all seemed lost, a new fleet of Terran warships appeared in the sky, cutting through the alien attackers with devastating force. Retreat! Zorath's voice crackled through the comms. We've underestimated them again. The Galactic Council had made its final mistake. Earth had proven once again that it would never be defeated. Peace would come, on humanity's terms. The galaxy had watched as Earth fought back, its fleet proving time and again that it was a force to be reckoned with. General Maria Velasquez stood in the command center, staring out at the stars. The battle against the Galactic Council had taken a toll on her, but she knew that this wasn't the end. The Council, humiliated and enraged, would return, and Earth would need to be ready. The peace talks had been a false hope. They were a trap, and Earth had nearly walked right into it. "We've got to prepare," Maria said, her voice low and urgent. "The Council won't give up. They'll come back with everything they have. And this time, we need to be ready." Lieutenant Caden, still shaken from the ambush during the peace talks, stood next to her, his eyes clouded with doubt. "But General, we've defeated their fleets again and again. How much more can they throw at us?" Maria turned to face him, her expression hardening. "They'll throw everything, Caden, and we'll keep fighting because that's what Earth does. We survive." The room grew quiet as her words sank in. Everyone knew that the Council had underestimated Earth. But now, after everything they had been through, they were about to face the Council's final move, the ultimate weapon that would either break them or push them to victory. The Terran fleet had been repaired, upgraded, and reinforced. But would it be enough? Hours later, the alarms rang again. Maria rushed to the command deck, her heart pounding in her chest. "Report!" she demanded. "It's them," the officer said, his face pale. "The Galactic fleet has arrived. It's massive, larger than anything we've seen before. They've brought everything they have." Maria's fists clenched. "They've had enough time to prepare." "Get the fleet into position. Prepare for battle." As the Terran ships moved into formation, Maria couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. The Galactic Council wasn't known for mercy, and if this was their final move, it would be their deadliest. The Terran fleet was ready, but deep down, she knew they were facing an enemy unlike any other. Suddenly, the holographic display flickered to life. Zorath appeared, his expression grim and determined. "General Velasquez, this will be the last time we meet as enemies," he said. "The Galactic Council has prepared a weapon that will end this war once and for all." "You will not survive." Maria's eyes narrowed. "We've heard that before, Zorath. Your threats mean nothing." Zorath's voice grew cold. "Then prepare to witness the true power of the Council. We've unleashed a force you cannot even imagine. Your precious Earth will burn." The transmission ended, and the command center fell into a tense silence. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. The Council had been defeated, but they were not going to go down easily. They had a weapon that could end Earth's resistance once and for all. "They're not bluffing," Maria said, turning to her officers. "We've fought well, but this is different. Get to your stations. We're going to need everything we've got." The Terran fleet locked into formation, ready to defend Earth with every ounce of strength they had left. But as the alien ships closed in, the enormity of the situation became clear. The weapon they had unleashed was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A massive energy beam, powerful enough to obliterate entire fleets, shot from the center of the alien formation. The Terran fleet was thrown into disarray as the beam sliced through their ships like paper. Maria watched as her ships were torn apart, one by one. The Terran forces were struggling to keep their ground, but the overwhelming firepower of the Galactic Council's weapon seemed unstoppable. It was a nightmare. Earth's fleets were being decimated before her eyes, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. "This is it," Caden whispered, his voice filled with fear. "We're losing." But Maria refused to give in. She had seen Earth face worse odds. She had seen humanity rise from the ashes time and time again. "No," she said firmly. "We're not done." "Not yet." As the last of the Terran ships fought to hold their ground, Maria made a decision. The ultimate weapon had to be activated. The weapon that had been built in secret, the one that had remained hidden until now. The key to turning the tide of this battle, and perhaps the entire war. She turned to the operations officer. "Activate the Earthstrike protocol, now." The officer hesitated, his face filled with doubt. "General, are you sure?" "This is the last resort if it fails." Maria met his gaze, her resolve unshaken. "We have no choice." "Activate it." The officer nodded and began entering the commands. A low hum filled the room as the Earthstrike protocol came online. The weapon, a colossal energy cannon hidden beneath Earth's surface, powered up, its immense power building with every passing second. The Council's fleet might be the most powerful the galaxy had ever seen, but they had no idea what was coming. With a blinding flash of light, the Earthstrike weapon fired, sending a massive beam of concentrated energy straight toward the heart of the alien fleet. The alien ships were caught off guard, unable to react in time. The beam tore through their defenses like a knife through butter. Their ships exploded in a chain reaction, one after another, as the Earthstrike weapon carved its way through the heart of the Galactic Council's forces. Maria watched as the enemy fleet collapsed, their forces crumbling in the wake of the blast. It was over. The tide had turned, and Earth had once again shown that no one, not even the most powerful empire in the galaxy, could break them. As the dust settled, the silence was almost deafening. The remaining alien ships retreated, unwilling to face the full force of Earth's new weapon. Zorath's voice echoed over the comms, tinged with disbelief. This is impossible. It's not impossible, Maria said, her voice calm but full of triumph. It's Earth. The war was over. Earth had won, but the galaxy had learned a powerful lesson. Earth was not just a small, insignificant planet anymore. It was a force, and anyone who underestimated it would pay the price. As Maria watched the last of the alien ships disappear into the distance, she allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The galaxy had tested Earth, and Earth had proven that it would never back down. No one would ever forget the price of underestimating humanity again.